Hello, welcome back to I Mustache You Something. I think outside of this fake mustache here, uh, I will not be sporting a mustache for this series. I've got Mitch Burning here. Hello, Mitch.
How's it going right now? Excited to be here.
And Mitch has a mustache plus, so uh, he will be mustaching me questions, and we'll be hopefully doing this on a fairly regular basis. We're soft committing, not hard
Stop
committing.
committing to Monday nights, 7. I'm by myself tonight, so if kids come, I apologize.
Yeah,
Marion's in New York, or my wife's in New York, so
yeah. Listen, all bets are off here. I think, as we said before, we started recording. I think the bar is pretty low.
sounds good.
I think if we don't offend 90% of the listeners or watchers, I think we're in good shape. If we offend only 10%, then that's a big
Yeah.
win. So the goal and the reason that we're, getting the mustache series started back up is because we miss each other because Mitch moved from Boston to Denver, and it's a good excuse for us to talk on a regular basis. And uh, I think we both enjoy our conversations, and we are uh, confused enough that we want to invite others into our confusion. And I think the first confusing question that I didn't prep Mitch on that I got this weekend, which I think is a phenomenal question that is worth discussing, is how do we show people who we are? And I'll give you the context. On Saturday, the St. Mark's Coptic Orthodox Church in Natick had a booth at Natick Day. And it was a nice little cross section of our community, some, moms, a bunch of Sunday school kids. Abuna Samuel was there. Abuna Mark stopped by later on in the day. I was there representing KV, our diocese charity, and telling people about the 5K that we're hosting on October 11. And, it was a nice mix of different people from our community. And, we had the pharaonic stuff like, write your name in hieroglyphics and crosses and spin the wheel and win a prize. And, we had Tisbeha playing. So, we had like the ambiance going. We had QR codes for people to scan and learn more about the community. So the whole thing. And it seems like at face value, like, hey, like, meet the people from St. Mark's. Like, this is what we do. We're Christian. And the Sunday school kid asked me, how do we show people who we are? And I, I was like, I mean, and the inadequate answer is, I mean, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing. And I didn't want to just say that. And I can tell you later kind of how I answered him. But I think more important than my answer is the question itself, and for that to be something that we're really considering, like not just at Natick Day, but in general. How are we showing people who we are? So what are your thoughts, Mitch?
So the first thing comes to mind, but I've actually been thinking about this idea of how do we show people who we are. So taking it from the church to like the personal. And I've been thinking a lot about how we as like young or middle-aged men will wake up as soon as the first thing we do is put our headphones in, start a podcast, start an audiobook, and just like do things where we're also listening. And we're constantly bringing in external information and dealing with yourself in your silence. You're constantly taking in information, and your brain sort of stops. It's really efficient from what I've read, and it stops like processing. Like, how do I move in this space? I'm just taking in information. So when people ask you questions, are they your ideas? Are they Jordan Peterson's? Are they some theologian on the internet? Whose ideas are you spouting? Are they your own, or just something you've heard and you agree with in the moment, but 2 weeks ago you would have said something else? So, how do we show who we are is a really interesting question because I'm fairly new to the church and I still am figuring out who we are, like as a community. Um, is it just the cultural stuff? Is it just the food? Is it just the wedding stuff? Is it is it the technical theological debates that we have with other Orthodox or Christians, which is kind of constant, or is it something more complex than that? My like simple answer is the Coptic Church. It's to show who you are is the what St. Mark's here in Denver does really well, which is if you come, you're gonna get a meal, and three or four tatas are gonna talk to you, and then a few or four, five or six uncles are gonna give you the side eye. Like that's guaranteed. That's who like open, but like a little bit protective. Um, how is it like to do a better job of that? I think is a great question that I'm happy to chat through. But my initial gut feel is it aligns with like how do we figure out who we are as people? Is it's to stop looking for external validation or listening to other people tell us like who we are, who we should be, and start kind of digging deeper into like we're the people that is it just the fasting? Like there's so much that's very unique, but at the end of the day, it's a very tight-knit community who honestly you see by the fruits. And if you like, that's how you people get people to know who you are is like doing a lot more external fruitfulness work, which has risk and downsides as well. The answer is I don't know, Mina, and that's why I'm here.
I mean, I don't know either. And I think that last thing that you said about the fruit was kind of where I led him. I
Yeah.
sent him a PDF of the Rabbi's Gift, which is a story that's quoted in M. Scott Peck's book, A Different Drum. So it's about community building.
Hmm.
And the synopsis of the story is that there is a monastery with, just a handful of monks left. And it's like a dying order. And the abbot of the monastery meets with this rabbi, who was a spiritual sort of friend of the abbot. And he tells them, like, hey, we're a dying order. We don't know, what to do. And he said, something really cryptic, which is um, one of you is the Messiah, right? And he goes back and he tells the other monks this, and it's like, oh, that's really weird. And it changed the way that they dealt with each other. They respected each other more and they treated each other with more love because the other person could be the Messiah. And on the off chance that it was them, then they have a responsibility to act accordingly. And it's an illustrative story that speaks to the heart of Christianity, which is being Christian means you treat everyone as you would treat Christ, and you treat everyone as if you are Christ. So that icon of Christ being a mutual thing, an icon of Christ being the people in front of you, and you are the icon of Christ to them, and being Christ to each other is kind of like the whole point of
Yeah.
being Christian. And I know that's an inadequate answer because, as you alluded to, there's a lot more to it. Like there's the cultural stuff and the food stuff and the side eye stuff. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's what he
It's
meant.
all and it's all important, right? Like it is all important. I guess my question to you, so in my Catholic circles, there's been a push for the lay people to really push on apologetics and go really hard in the paint on apologetics. And casting it online, having like these like built up debates. My my reaction at first was, wow, that's really interesting.
Hmm.
And then to be not to disparage, but I've kind of gone my farm boy practical brain kicks in and goes, yeah, but like why? Like, yeah, you're probably sounds like you're right. Like, cool, cool. But like at the end of the day, the cow's got to get milked, and like, how does this help me raise my family? Like, it's like so. The question is like, is our apologetics something the Catholic Church should do more of? Is it? I mean, is it a world of? Yeah, I feel like the internet is driving young intellectuals that direction. There's also like potential things there. But yeah, so I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on apologetics as far as the Catholic Church's future of I mean, to be very frank, competing in this Christian marketplace, which
Mm.
is a very cynical way to put it, I know, but
I think you know me well enough that um, I'm not struggling uh, to give you an answer. I'm struggling to give you a diplomatic answer that's fit for public consumption.
and I think that that's important, right? Like we both, I think the question I led is like, is there a diplomatic answer other than no? Like that's can't like it's you're sitting on both sides of the rail there. Like you can go too deep and make an idol out of the arguments of Chalcedon and like get like you can truly go too far off the rails.
Right.
But it's also important to be feel like you have your convictions. I guess, well, I'll save you from answering. The
Please.
answer is that we don't know, right? There's not like that's a world to be tested.
Listen,
A better,
I think that's always the case, right? Like I'm
yeah,
never going to say, and even in the office seeing patients, I don't tell them, well, I know and you don't, and this is the way
right,
it is.
right.
I see a lot of this, and from what I've seen, my experience tells me X, and that's not universally true. I think it does apply in your case,
Hmm.
and based on that, I would recommend X. I can't guarantee that I'm right, and I can't guarantee that it's going to work. However, for what it's worth, I don't think that this is something that um, is unusual or weird. Like this is
Yeah,
something that I see all the time. So there's a difference between being confused on one end and being like a know-it-all on the other end.
combatant.
There's
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle where it's like, listen, like I can share with you my perspective,
Mhm.
and depending on the ethos, logos, pathos of what that message is, who's saying it, and how it's delivered, you can draw your own conclusions about whether you agree or not. And I'm not claiming to know that there is a universal yes or no answer to whether apologetics is valuable or not. I'm just saying that my personal answer is no.
Yeah.
And it's not that there aren't good apologetics already out there. I think if you read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, it's a great case for Christianity that is non-denominational and non-cultural, and it just says, hey,
Yeah.
like I would love to be off the hook from this whole responsibility to God thing. I just
Yeah.
I can't justify it. And if God does exist and God did create us and God does love us, then that is not a trivial thing that I can just sort of wish away. And if
Right.
it all is true, then I have a responsibility to myself and the people around me to live in such a way that at least is open to the possibility that that is true. And I think that's the heart of Christianity, is to getting to know this triune God that created us and loved us, which is a unique place to be in the theological world.
Yes. That's a wonderful answer. What I was thinking throughout while you're giving your answer, I was doing the terrible thing of thinking about what to say while you were talking. So I apologize for for that. Um, we were at a film viewing together earlier, maybe last fall,
Hmm,
about a Coptic priest film
hmm,
that your friend made. It's wonderful.
hmm,
But what came up is what does it mean to be Coptic? And then it came
hmm.
up as like, I mean, self-identified as a non-Coptic is a not, it's an identifier, right? So how do you show who you are? My question would be, do you need to be Coptic to be Coptic Orthodox?
And your question just now speaks to the how do we show people who we are?
Mhm.
And the question is, who is the we?
Who is the we? Am I
We,
in the we? I mean,
right.
I go to church, do my
I would
best,
say
but I'm,
100% yes.
yeah,
And based on my answer to him, that you're part of a community that treats each other with respect, sees Christ in each other. I will act towards you as if I am Christ and treat you as if you are Christ.
right.
I mean, you're
Yeah,
obviously in that category.
yeah.
Now, did you grow up eating molokhaya and rose? No.
No.
but you can have molokhia and rose with us
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right? Like, can you make macaroni bechamel? Like, no, but neither can I, and
Yeah.
that doesn't make me any less Coptic that I don't know how to make macaroni bechamel,
Yeah.
right? And I think defining that we, I think, is a critical part of the question. And if
Yeah.
we're successful in defining the we based on community values and Christian values rather than um, religious values or dogmatic values or um, what I think people come across when they say apologetics
Yeah.
is, I'm going to convince you and I'm going to make an argument to say that I'm right and I have the right faith. Those are not things that I think are as valuable as that identity as a Christian in terms of who I am, how we treat each other, and the kind of community that I want to be part of. That's my we, not
Yeah.
yeah, we got the right dogma, man, and you're wrong.
Right. Right.
No.
And you may not, but many a soldier has died believing he was correct.
Sure.
So
And that's why, like, I'm not going to die on that hill,
yeah.
right? I'm not going to say, and because I don't, therefore you
Right.
can't.
Right.
Like, and you've been there for people to bring
Yeah, listen,
questions
it's
up
not
to
a
me where
turn
I'm
on, I'll tell
like,
you that, for
what's that?
personally. But so we're at, I don't know how sure we want to keep this. I've got a child crying. So I think the question I think that the answer, like we came to at the beginning, is the way we can kind of tie this up is show us by the fruit. So I guess my question is, how can we do a better job of showing our fruit? So it's one example, the St. Mark's here in Denver is doing an Egyptian festival where we're inviting the entire community. There's the food, the Buna's there. It's kind of like a soft entrance, kind of to see the sights. Like one thing that's beautiful about, I believe, the Catholic and Orthodox traditions is it's very embodied. So it's you show up, churches are beautiful, icons are beautiful.
Right.
There's
Come and see.
there's
Right.
yeah, so now you don't have to preach to show. You can just invite people in for a meal and for a fun, and you let the work of God do its job and kind of with that kind of embodization.
And
So
then
that's
that's
one
what I said to
option.
the kid. Like, if people come to our booth and we're all, getting along with each other and inviting people in and welcoming, and, there's like this sort of like embodied sense of fellowship
Yeah,
at the booth. I think that is a very compelling way to show people who we are. And I think
yeah,
that's, a significant part of it. And obviously the opposite is true. Like, if you come and like, it's not so friendly and not so uh, cooperative in terms of how people are dealing with each other, that sends a message as well as to who we are, not in a good way.
yeah. I mean, I'll just share a quick story here at the end. Do I want to share this or not? Yeah, why not? So when I first got approached about or joining the Catholic Church from the Catholic Church, my first experience was not positive. I got first conversations was this is why the church of your family for the last 10, 20, 30 generations is completely wrong and is probably heretical. It's probably heretical. And you're probably going to hell unless you figure it out.
Right. It's
That
it's
was
a good
not,
thing we're here to save you from.
yeah, it wasn't a great first conversation.
Right.
The second conversation I had was with the Abuna here in Denver, and then my own uncle who is a deacon in the Catholic Church. And we kind of between three of us, me as a middle person, figured out like where does the Coptic Orthodox Church sit, and is there an openness? And I think that the Catholic Church, and this is me being super biased, has always been like open to try like go to the Orthodox with charity and try to like make. And this experience for me trying to get married, I was able to find two parties who were both like easy to explain to me and like open and like showed the fellowship that like we are all part of this community, all pointing to the same direction. And that conversation was like a breath of fresh air. I came in with like, here's why you're terrible and here's why we're awesome. And the second conversation was, hey, there's complexities on both sides. We're all just trying to work together, figure out like what's right. And it's okay to like try to live in these two, one cultural world where I lived in and this new world where I was entering with my family. And I think that was a really positive way. So this idea of being more open to others' ideas and like trying to like, guide them on the path was for me very like was I was a hard pass. Nope, we're staying, smells bells, Western, the Pope is the Pope, man. And then it came into like, hey, we need to kind of work together on this. I've got a kid crying. I love you.
Let's pick up where we left off next time,
Yeah.
where I think I can present you with a framework
Yeah.
that Catholics and Coptic Orthodox would agree on, and we
Yeah.
can use that as sort of the foundation of where to go moving forward as we mustache each other
All
questions.
right. Mustache, love you, buddy. We'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Bye.